Gel coat can hide a lot of flaws, and there was a lot of air bubbles on the other side, so I don't know how much of this is actually good, but it sure looks nice from this side. That there is PVA. This is what happens if you put it on thick enough. It's basically like a cling film. It's actually pretty neat stuff. The top mold is dirty like that just because when I was applying the PVA for the bottom, it crept up around. Because in case you didn't see in the picture, it was the top mold was actually on the top of the plug, and then the flange on the top mold created the flange for the bottom mold. So now I have two molds with flanges, and I have drilled holes along the flange there, and that is just so that they're alignment holes, so that when I've made the two halves of the finished product inside each mold, I can bolt the molds together and then reach my arm through the middle of the top there. I'm going to cut that out, the part up there, and then I can reach my arm in and fiberglass the two halves together, pop these molds, and it'll be a perfect fit. Well, it's been a little while since I last took a video or pictures or anything. I don't know, I just haven't picked up a camera for some reason, but here's the lower mold. Looks about the same on the camera, but if you get up close and in the right light, you can see patches all along it. This side is the much worse side. Just a little patch right up there as well. And then a few things on this side. Basically what it is that had happened is deja vu to a previous experience I had. The resin started hardening too quickly. So obviously I had misjudged my measurements just a little bit, and it was not allowing me enough time to work it properly, so I wasn't able to roll out all the air bubbles, so it left a lot of bubbles. And what I've had to do is I've had to puncture those, scrape out all the gel coat on this side until it came to a hard surface, because it's gel coat hardens to a nice surface, but since I only put on one coat, it was fairly thin, and it wasn't really strong enough to hold the shape so you could actually see with your eyes where the problem areas were. So I just came along and popped them all, unfortunately, and then I filled them with body filler, sanded them down smooth again. Now I blobbed in the gel coat. So the idea is that the gel coat now is raised, and I can sand it down flush. So I'll start with like a 100 or whatever and work my way up to 2000 eventually. Molds are looking good. Let's see to finish these up, then we can start making the pieces from these molds. Fiberglass them together and pull it out, and there will be the boat. Well, the last video I took, I was working on this mold. All these little areas along the side here. They just didn't turn out as well as I was hoping. I built them up with the gel coat so I could theoretically sand them down flush, but I was using a power sander because the gel coat was taking a really long time to sand. I think that's mainly because I hadn't put any PVA or whatnot on top of it, so it had stayed slightly tacky on the surface, clogging up the sandpaper and whatnot. So yeah, what we've got here then is a mold that is not going to be used anymore, but hey, there's the engine, here's the boat. This is starting to look about right now. Of course it's not going to stay there. There we go. It's about where it's going to sit. Gas tank being either up here or back there someplace. I'm going to be putting it up in the front, I'm pretty sure, just for weight balance. Slightly different fuel tank, a bigger one I'm going to get. But unfortunately I have to say bye-bye to this mold. Not going to work. It's be too much work to get it to be good again. So you may notice I'm PVAing this again, and I'm going to try to reuse it. There's a couple areas that had some flaws, but I took some of the this non-drying clay that I have, and I sort of patched them as best I could. There, a little bit up here, a little bit right there, and so on. So did that. I was out of Prevail sprayers, so I bought an actual spray gun using our compressor here. Just a little guy, 3 gallon. It's not fantastic. One pass of the side uses about 10 psi on it, but it works. I'm not going to be using up cartridges that I've paid for and then have to throw away. I get to just keep the gun, so I'm happy about that purchase. On sale, 30 bucks, Canadian Tire. Hee. Gotta love those sales. Just got the gleam coming back. You can see how it's still all speckly, so I'm just going to wait for this coat to dry. Then I'm going to put on a few more heavy coats. This is, oh boy, what was that, about 4 or so light mist coats, and then sort of one heavier coat that sort of just kept putting another one, putting on another one, after waiting for a few minutes for the compressor to charge back up that 10 psi it lost. But it's looking good. It's looking good. So once this is done, gel coat. Same procedure as last time. This time I'm actually going to use 2 coats of gel coat, though, as I will on the actual finished product, just so that if there is an air bubble I don't have to do this again. It might actually have enough strength to hold that. So I think I got enough left to do 2 coats on this, but if I don't, I'm just going to have to go out and buy another can, because I'm not going to cheap out on this mold again. I've done that once and that was stupid, so we're going to do this properly. Use the heat gun here just to help dry the light coats. It does help, because then you don't have to wait 10-15 minutes between mist coats for them to dry. I can just get the heat gun, and after I've finished spraying, apply a little heat and air to it, and they dry up nicely. So this heavier coat, though, not so much. But nice and shiny. Well, it looks nice. I actually kind of like the 2 different colors on this. The boat's just going to be white at the beginning, but I mean, now that I got that spray gun, or I'd probably just stick with spray paint, but it'd be interesting to see about giving a different design job to it.